Hello, everybody. Welcome to something, man. What the hell are we doing here? Luka Doncic traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis and not really all that much else. Ben, I'm going to kick it to you first. 'Cause what are you thinking here?
God is good. That's all I can say. Before the season, I had Luka as the number one player in the entire league. They could have traded everybody on the roster for Luka, and I would still think they won the trade. So that's the quick gist of it. Bad day for Mavs fans. So pray for Mavs fans. But the Slovenian slob is in LA.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what we can say. Like, there's just completely out of nowhere. I still, even, almost a week after, I'm still just having to make sense of what's going on here. I mean, this was completely out of nowhere, coming off of a finals run. Basically, the only reasoning was that Luka got fat from what the Mavs front office was playing, which is not a great reason to trade your 25-year-old MVP candidate, especially for someone like Anthony Davis, who is also made of glass at times. Yeah, man, I'm still confused.
Yeah, I'll be the first one to say it here on this show. Something suspicious happened here. This was not all clean. This was not all above the board, I'll tell you that much. There was something strange going on between Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka. And I'll get into my theories of what that is later, but for now I'm just going to talk about this trade from a basketball perspective, which was really difficult for me to do when this first happened, but I think it's been long enough that we can actually think about it this way. Obviously, for the Lakers, you do this every time. You would do this if you had to give up Dalton Knecht and another first-round pick, which apparently was unreasonable to ask for. It gives them an obvious plan for the future when they definitely did not have one. They were looking like they might be pretty rough after LeBron left, and now they've just replaced him with essentially a better version. This season, I don't know that this team will be great. It's hard to say how Luka and LeBron will play together, because it's just an unfathomable situation. No one was planning for that. As for the Mavs, strictly for this season and maybe next season, I think they'll be pretty good still. AD fits pretty well with what they've got there. Their defense will be good. Their offense should be fine. But anything short of winning a title in the next 2 years, this will be seen as a complete and utter disaster. And even if they win a title, it still might be seen that way by Mavs fans especially.
But yeah, to dive into it from actual basketball perspective and stuff, it definitely, for the Lakers, it shores up the entire immediate future. AD was 31, so you basically got a better player that's 6 years younger. And as I said, I think he's arguably the best player in the league. I think this trade can also keep LeBron around longer, because I think this year he's averaging somewhere between 35 and 36 minutes a night. So I think that this can delay LeBron's retirement for a year to try to stay with Luka and play. I wouldn't even say a diminished role, but I think he'll just play a little less minutes. There will always be Luka or LeBron on the floor, kind of like when Chris Paul or when Russell Westbrook got traded to the Rockets. It was kind of like you'd have Russ or CP3 on the floor on the floor with Harden. You keep one on the floor at all times, and they can basically run a myriad lineups. They have, good defenders, Dorian Finney-Smith and Vanderbilt to shore up some of the defense. So I think it does. They can still win now, and are pretty well situated for that. To go with the Mavs, I think it helps their defense, but it closes their decade-long championship window to like a minimum of 1 year and like a max of 4 years. Because I think Kyrie's like 32 or 33, AD's 31, Klay's like a dinosaur. I don't like it for the Mavs, obviously. That's kind of been the consensus, but I mainly think it's gonna be a problem with like spacing, because AD doesn't really shoot the three like he has occasionally shot the three this year. I think his inside scoring is great, but I don't know how it's going to work with another center. They have like so many good centers on the Mavs that he's going to have to play the four, and it's like I don't know how that will work in the playoffs specifically. I think in the regular season this helps them and makes them a lock for the playoffs. And I also think that there's like almost 100% chance that at some point in time, Luka will knock the Mavs out of the playoffs, and that will be an entertaining day to scroll through Twitter, I must say.
Things will be wished upon Nico Harrison that have not been uttered in hundreds of years.
Yeah, I mean, like you were saying, the Lakers just completely fleeced here. Timeline extends from like 2-year championship window, maybe with the AD and LeBron core, to 8 to 10 years of high-level basketball from Doncic. But with that being said, I think right now they're in kind of a weird spot. I still, despite getting Doncic, I wouldn't really put them as like a tier 1 contender at the moment. They have been playing really well without AD. Obviously, Luka hasn't started for them yet, but without AD, I mean, Reeves has been great. I don't think DFS has started yet, or that's certainly not been the lineup they run the most.
Yeah, no, it's been Rui.
Yeah. Which, I mean, Rui's okay, but I'd like to have DFS there, personally, at least.
I agree.
At least for the defense, once Doncic gets in. But like, I don't know, they've been playing very well. LeBron had 40 last night. I think with Luka, that takes a lot of the offensive load off of Bron as well. Allows him to be a better defender. They got more.
Oh, we lost him. I'll tell you what happened. The Clutch Mafia got him.
Yeah.
The defensive, first three are okay, but as you get down the depth chart, they don't really have that ability to keep a consistent defense for 48 minutes, I don't think. But with that being said, this is one of the younger teams now that they've got AD off. Obviously LeBron's still there, but the main rest of the guys are still pretty young. So yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a great team for like 10 more years. And then on the Mavs side, I think they don't really get better or worse this year. They just kind of have a completely different identity now, They've probably got some like 3-4 more years of being okay with, assuming AD stays healthy. But like now, it's just a clunky lineup, like you were saying. There's spacing issues. Gafford, Lively, and AD are all quality centers that really should not be overlapping positionally. I know AD kind of wanted to play the 4, but I think that's really not his natural position anymore. So now this is just like a massive defense-heavy team with too many bigs. But this is still not. I wouldn't want to see them as like in the first or second round. Just big as hell, tough defense. They can match up well against I think OKC is pretty small. I could see them kind of getting bitched around in the interior. And then the offense, I don't know if Kyrie's good enough to be really initiating the offense, especially in a tough playoff setting. I mean, if you think through most of his career, he's played with a lot of other dudes who can take that playmaking load off of him, LeBron, Harden, and then Luka. Basically, I don't think of him as an Anthony Davis teammate, really. He's a fine pick and roll creator, but that's not his bread and butter. He doesn't really have a lot of shooting around him to be able to finish near the rim like he likes to. His spacing is going to be really important, but just kind of a weird backcourt right now.
Yeah, they've put together a team of some of the greatest second options we've ever seen. And they don't have a first option is the problem. I mean, you look at it, Kyrie, AD, Clay, they've all won rings, but none of them ever did it as the main guy. So we'll see how putting them all together works. I don't see it working out for them. Could they win the title this season? I guess in theory, but I wouldn't think that they will. Yeah, I'm gonna start with a grade here. There's more to say, obviously, but I'm gonna throw out my grade for the Mavs. I'm giving them an L for this. and obviously for the Lakers, it's an A+. And fuck it, I'll throw out the Jazz. I'll give them an A too. They didn't fucking do anything, but they got 2 second-round picks, so whatever.
So I will say about the Mavs whole situation, because there's more to talk about it wasn't just that Luka's fat. It was also that they were saying how like the looming Supermax contract like this summer. So it's like gives them security or something, but like Kyrie is on a 1-year deal with a player option. His contract goes through this year with a player option next year. So you could potentially have no solid point guard or shooting guard on your roster after this next season. So what's better, Luka on a supermax or like Kyrie on a max for 4 years? So you're gonna have Kyrie age 36 on a max deal, Glassman Davis on a max deal. I think he's under contract for the next 3 years, maybe the player option. So 35, 36 years old. It's a very short-sighted move. So I guess I can give the grade here. Obviously, I gave the Lakers an A+. I give the Mavs a generous D-. I will. very close to an F. But if you combine it with their whole trade deadline, which I mean they basically didn't do anything else, so that's an L. So I can.
Caleb Martin doesn't move.
So I think your grade Nate was spot on. So
yeah, I mean, like you were saying, now Luka's ineligible for Supermax because he got traded. And I think Ben, you did the math. He lost something like $160 million.
Assuming he signs a similar extension, like a 4-year extension, with the 13% state income tax of California, he loses 13% of the contract, which I think was like 20 more million, on top of the 117 million he lost from the Supermax, on top of the $15 million home he got in Dallas. So yeah, like 160 million he lost. So yeah.
And then, the Mavs they like leaked his peak recovery weight when he was injured. Yeah, like you were saying, he bought a home like not that long ago before they traded him.
I think a week.
I think Luka's going to become. Yeah, you're right. It was like last week he bought the home. So I think Luka's going to be back with a vengeance, man. Like if there's anything to motivate a player to get in shape and play angry, it's like this. So I guess for grades, obviously Lakers A+. You got, like the biggest bailout in sports history considering the situation they were in before the trade. Now I think I'm gonna have to give the Mavs a big Z for this one.
Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
Exactly, shout out. But it's I really struggle to think of a worse trade in recent NBA history, considering who Luka is and the situation in Dallas even 6 months ago.
All right, before we get out of here on this trade, I gotta say my piece really quick. Nico Harrison is having sex with Rob Pelinka. That statement he made about when they were talking for months about this trade, like they were pillow talking about that shit, man. That was right after.
So I think that the reports do say that this was first offered like 2 days before it happened, the trade, which
they were talking about it though. They were,
yeah, or they were talking about shopping Luka for a few months for sure, because I think they approached Milwaukee as well.
I think from the reporting, at least, they obviously said they didn't talk to anybody else. And so I can kind of understand the taking at face value more than like the conspiracy theory, like because the Lakers were not shopping AD at all. If 28 other teams or like 25 other teams picked up the phone and said we want AD, Rob would have hung up. But when you're trying to trade for a top 10 player in the league and you're offering your top 4 player in the league, it's unprecedented territory. So everything's out the window here. People are saying like, oh, they could have got a lot of picks for Luka, but that's not what they wanted. They wanted to win now. They wanted to win now and trade Luka for, you know, I mean, AD is like a borderline MVP candidate. So it's like, you can't sleep on that. Yeah, I do think it's kind of just whipped a bunch of people on Twitter and all around the media world into a frenzy of like trying to find an explanation for it. But I think it's more just like they wanted to keep it under wraps because they didn't want like Luka to know about it. That there is an argument to not shopping him around if your sole target is AD, which it sees like it was in this case, but obviously
that's equally strange in my opinion.
Yeah. AD has played his like first like year and a half of like extremely healthy basketball, and the Mavs were convinced, I guess. And then I think Nico Harrison has a relationship with AD somehow. I forget exactly how that is, but because I don't know Pelinka and Nico's history, so.
I mean, they've been boys for years is the thing. They knew each other through Kobe was the story that was being thrown around. And I mean, I guess that could have played into a relationship with the Lakers on that end. I don't know. We'll probably never know everything there is to know about this trade. One thing we do know is that Dalton Connect and another first were on the table, and Pelinka talked Nico Harrison out of it.
Yeah, I can't even imagine that conversation. Pelinka had to be then like so nonchalant about that. It's like, yeah, Luka's good, but I mean, Connect's been shooting well, you know.
Max Christie is elite.
Generational going on there.
Our Kobe clone is in his 4th year in the league.
Kobe clone.
You never know.
I will say, I've heard another conspiracy that I wouldn't say I believe, but it intrigues me for the storyline, if nothing else. So the Mavericks are under new ownership. Cuban sold the team last year. The new owners are two, I think it's some guy and like his like mother-in-law or something, who are both big into, they're like Vegas casino, you know, owners of, I think it's like whatever, some Sands casino. They were talking basically when they bought the team about trying to turn the whole stadium into like a mega casino where you could like make this whole spectacle of like betting on the game and then watching it live. And Texas obviously doesn't have legal gambling, at least not like widespread like that. So the theory I've seen is that they traded Luka in an attempt to tank the team and make the fan base not care, so they could move the team to Vegas and set up a casino in the arena. So I'll let you guys stew on that one.
I'm going to choose to believe that at face value.
Yeah. I've heard the same thing. I didn't know that Texas didn't have betting and things like that, because I think I heard on like a podcast with Mark Cuban. He was like, "Oh, I'm selling the team because the new like the people in the organization want to go into more of like a real estate like casino. I don't know if he said casino direction, but more a real estate direction. I didn't know it wasn't legal. And so what they have done, new ownership has also done, is like put like $2 million into a PAC, a political action committee thing, to try and get betting legal in Texas. So that's not nothing in that theory. So it could be. We'll see in 5 years if they are relocated to Vegas. We will know why.
Final thoughts here. Luka's fat as fuck. AD's old and injured. The Jazz are the true winners of the trade. You guys give me your thoughts.
They got Luka. We got Jalen Hood-Schifino, so.
And immediately cut him after one practice.
Yeah. Thank you, Lord and Savior Robert Pelinka. I no longer hate you. And Nico Harrison, you should read what they're saying about you on Twitter.